Welcome back. Europe continues to battle record mercury levels that are disrupting lives and destroying forests. For more on the situation there, I have David Cox live on the line. David, it's been a while. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me on again, Sunny.
Right, so David, the UK last Tuesday posted its highest temperature on record, breaking past 40 degrees Celsius. Could we start with a little background behind this national emergency and perhaps its related repercussions, David?
Yes, it has been unprecedented scenes over here, Sunny. So we had at least a dozen major fires across London last week. So major roads had to be shut for hours because the surface actually melted. And airport runways, train lines were closed because the rails buckled. And tragically, while it isn't confirmed yet, I think there's estimates that about 1,000 people may have died across 3 days last week due to heat exhaustion. So basically, put simply, the UK just simply isn't built to withstand the kind of temperatures we were seeing.
Right. David, here in South Korea, air conditioners, they are as common, installed at home that is, they're as common as beds and sofas, blankets and so forth. I believe this is not the case there in the UK, and that being said, how are people there trying to bear this brutal heat wave?
Well, over here, I live by the south coast down in Brighton, and I can say that Brighton Beach has never been so busy. So that has been one of the main ways people have tried to cope. But you're very right, our houses are not designed at all for the heat. We are traditionally a cold country, so they're more built for keeping heat in rather than letting it out. And you're right, I mean, literally only about 5% of our homes have any form of air conditioning. It's very, very different to South Korea. So instead, basically, people have just been resorting to whatever they can. Like sales of electric fans have kind of absolutely soared. Like most shops have sold out completely, and people just been like trying to kind of like stay in the shade and do whatever they can to keep cool.
Right. David, you mentioned earlier about airports, train stations being affected, and I understand, according to local media there, another victim of the brutal heatwave appears to be the infrastructure of the internet in the UK. Could you elaborate?
Yes, so the internet infrastructure, that was an unexpected casualty of the heatwave. It was only briefly, but Google and Oracle both had to take their cloud services and servers offline in London because the cooling systems couldn't handle the temperatures and apparently were at risk of burning out. So the disruption only lasted very briefly, but when Google's technology can't handle the heat, you know it's a bit of a problem.
Right, I'm sure. Beyond the UK, David, could you share with us a bit about the plight of people in the other parts of Europe, perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, as bad as it has been over here, we have kind of almost got up with it slightly lightly compared to the rest of Europe. So particularly in Southern Europe, it's been very bad. Portugal, Spain, Greece, Italy have all, in Portugal, temperatures reached nearly 50 degrees and fires have been I think destroyed something like 75,000 acres of land over the last week. There's been about 1,000 deaths linked to the heat wave over there. So it's been quite bad in France as well, especially in the southwest, where thousands of people have had to be evacuated. And I think I remember reading residents in some parts describe the scenes as almost apocalyptic. So it has been very bad in Europe.
Right. David, some pundits say that in about 5 decades' time, our summers may be close to 5 degrees Celsius hotter than our current temperatures. What perhaps is being discussed on the national or perhaps regional level with regard to efforts to deal with this petrifying prospect in light of course, climate change?
Yes, I mean, it is very concerning. I mean, the forecast is that if emissions don't slow down, we could see temperatures like this every 3 years. And I think by the 2050s, temperatures could be regularly over 35 degrees across the UK, which would cause thousands of extra deaths every year from heat exhaustion. So it is a big problem. And I think we're going to see increased pressure on the government to push ahead policies to lower emissions, cut down on fossil fuels by any means necessary. And I think we're definitely going to see increased public protests here in the UK and much, much greater pressure from people on, calling for change.
And on a light note, David, I hear a British cinema chain that offered redheads free tickets to live screens last week. Could you tell us a bit about this event and the reason behind it?
Yeah, that was a great story. So Showcase, which is one of our biggest cinema chains here in the UK, they offered one free ticket a day for their air-conditioned cinemas to anyone with red hair, because redheads are supposed to be more sensitive to the sun and high temperatures. So we don't know exactly how many redheads took up the offer, but I'd have been there if I could.
Right. And is it true, medically speaking, that redheads are more vulnerable to heat, David?
It is true, yes, yeah. I mean, I think like so their complexion makes them a bit more sensitive.
Right, I see. And David, do tell us a bit about current efforts by UK authorities there to better respond to this unprecedented heat wave.
So we are still very unprepared, and the country is largely in crisis mode with regards to it. So there's worries at the moment we're going to see more high temperatures coming up in the next few weeks, and different measures are being taken. So hospitals are installing industrial cooling units wherever possible. The government have finally introduced a few new building regulations to try and cool homes, but that only applies to newly built homes, not existing ones. And there's been some future plans suggested, like such as trying to build more trees, install more water features in our cities. Some scientists have even actually suggested naming heat waves in the same manner that, like so people name typhoons to try and get them more attention. So we'll see if that happens.
Right, I'll keep my fingers crossed. All right, David, thank you so much for making the time to join us live at this very early hour with the latest regarding the heat wave over there in the UK.
Thank you.